Welcome to Manchester Jazz Society. Tonight's presentation is Billy Bang and Co. A bit of bio first. Billy Bang's given name was William Vincent Walker. He was born in Mobile, Alabama in 1947 and raised in Harlem. He was assigned the violin at school and hated it. Why me was his attitude. It was because he was small. The students were grouped by size and the smallest kids got violins. He rebelled by playing drums and flute, anything but violin. In 1966, he was drafted into the army and spent a year in Vietnam. This is how the rebel turned into a radical. He was now devouring books about Bobby Seale and Huey Newton and listening to Anthony Braxton and Leo Smith and Leroy Jenkins. He went on a trip to the South to buy guns, but picked up a violin in a pawn shop instead. So let's get into the music. This is the Billy Bang Quintet with Bang's Bounce. The lineup is Billy Bang violin, Charles Tyler baritone saxophone, Michele Rosewoman piano, Wilber Morris bass, Dennis Charles drums. Note that lineup carefully because we're all going to enter the story. The year is 1981. Bang's bounce, sorry, was clearly part of a trend for modern or free players to tackle older forms of jazz to assert the unbroken tradition. Stuff Smith came a generation or two before, and Leroy Jenkins was the preceding generation. But strangely, Bang is the atavist and the bridge between the two. Bang's bounce comes from Rainbow Gladiator, a thrilling album that planted the idea of this recital. I could fill a session just by playing Bang and his Rainbow Gladiator associates. But then the plan expanded and the initial idea became a starting point. Okay, so let's turn the spotlight on baritone saxophonist Charles Tyler, who we heard there. He played on Albert Ayler's Spirits Rejoice. And in the late 70s, it could be found playing in the New York lofts, where a 1983 live recording finds him in the company of Billy Bang. Diabari is extracted from a performance at Green Space, one of the lofts appropriated by jazz musicians. It almost isolates the violin and baritone sax parts from Bang's bounce and gets ruminative at the end. It's free jazz, but deep in the tradition too. See what you think anyway. violin baritone. I just got it. I guess you have to speak it aloud. So free jazz is a way to locate a source of energy. The trick is to channel it as best you can, and for optimum accessibility, wrap it in a structure and find a drummer as good as Dennis Charles. The result will be something like Ebony Minstrel Man, again from the Rainbow Gladiator album. Note the Eastern tinge in Bang's violin. His violin subtly draws on the musical language of Indochina. Vietnam never completely leaves him. The bassist from the Billy Bang Quintet, Wilber Morris, was the brother of composer and conductor Butch Morris, and his group was always called Wilber Force, whatever the lineup or size. The 1983 incarnation took the form of a trio with saxophonist David Murray and drummer Dennis Charles, his compadre from Billy Bang Quintet. A live album from 1983, simply titled Wilberforce, exudes positivity. Freedom includes the right to range freely across different forms of music from the African diaspora, and West Indian folk song does exactly what it says on the tin. Murray sounds relaxed, even happy, and drummer Dennis Charles is in his element. Charles was born in the Virgin Islands and, according to Val Wilmer, was dragged from calypso mambo bands playing house parties in New York by Cecil Taylor. So West Indian folk song comes next, and it's recommended for the drum solo rather than despite the drum solo. If there's only one thing I want you to take away from the recital, it's that Dennis Charles is a bloody good drummer. Yeah, the great Dennis Charles on drums. You didn't notice how he broke into Here Comes the Bride in the middle of that drum solo. So we're talking about receptivity to the African diaspora, and you may detect an angular take on Cuban rhythms in Newton Baby, taken from The Source by the Michele Rosewoman Quartet. Roberto Miranda is on bass. Pharaoh Aklaf is the drummer. Michele Rosewoman is on piano, and Bekarda Carroll is the trumpeter. Invitation, the next offering by the Billy Bang Quintet, drops Michele Rosewoman in favour of Curtis Clark, to its detriment, possibly. After the lyrical introduction by Clark, it sounds for a moment that the band are about to launch into Mantissa by Dizzy Gillespie, but no, it turns into something else. It turns into a pebble is a small rock. Okay, let's try and crack the generational thing. Stuff Smith was born in 1909, so definitely a granddad figure. Leroy Jenkins was born in 1932, and John Coltrane, as we know, in 1926. Ornette Coleman was born in 1930, and Billy Bang was born in 1947. So Bang definitely belongs to the second wave of the new music. Then he was a late starter, partially because of his initial distaste for his chosen instrument and partly because of the conscription in Vietnam. And so he came slightly behind, he came behind the senior Frank Lowe, who was born in 1943. Dennis Charles was born in 1933, an older guy. Bang, Frank Lowe, Dennis Charles, with Raphael Garrett on bass, came together in the early 80s as the Jazz Doctors and made a very good album called Intensive Care. So this is spooning a Butch Morris composition from Intensive Care. Now then, have we got time for a quick Stuff Smith for the purpose of comparison? Great. Here is A Foggy Day in London Town from the session that produced Stuff Smith's Cat on a Hot Fiddle album from 1960, and incidentally introduced Shirley Horn to the record buying public.
A foggy day in London town had me low and had me down. I view the morning with such alarm. The British Museum had lost its charm. How long, I wonder, could this thing last? But the age of miracle hadn't passed, for suddenly I saw you standing there, and through a foggy London town, the sun was shining, shining everywhere. Could this thing last? But the age of miracle hadn't passed, for suddenly I saw you standing there, and through a foggy London town, the sun was shining, shining
Great. Incidentally, Billy Bang played it in Sun Ra's orchestra, and he collaborated with Sun Ra on a 1993 album called A Tribute to Stuff Smith. And I had A Foggy Day in London Town lined up to play from that album, but I ran out of time. So them's the breaks. Thanks, guys. Cool. So the selling point of a 2003 release called Intensive Care Prescriptions Filled, the Billy Bang Quartet Sessions 1983-1984, a reissue of Intensive Care with extra material, is the bonus track, John Coltrane's Mr. Sims. Val Wilmer in the original sleeve notes identifies Ornette Coleman as the dominant influence of intensive care. I reached the same conclusion independently, that is, before I read the sleeve notes. But the comparison goes begging because of a tour de force performance of Lonely Woman, which is the finale of that album. So, how does Train fit into the mix, you may ask? It seems the jazz doctors filter John Coltrane through the lens of Ornette Coleman. The melody gains the shapely beauty that characterizes Ornette, and the rhythm is elasticated in the time-honored Ornette style. So this is Mr. Sims by the Jazz Doctors. Again, the lineup is Billy Bang violin, Frank Lowe tenor saxophone, Raphael Garrett on bass, and Dennis Charles on drums. Mr. Sims there. The thing with radical firebrands like Frank Lowe, and you find the same thing with Archie Shepp, is that the anger gets superseded by serenity. And what happens is that the Ayla-esque confrontational, highly vocalized tone is distilled to pure love. Lowe was responsible for a marvelous album, Decision in Paradise, with Don Cherry, Gretchen Moncur III, Jerry Allen, Charlotte Moffat, and Charles Moffat. It may seem perverse with such a lineup to pick a track of solo Lowe, but our purpose here is to find the essence of Frank Lowe, and I'll Whistle Your Name comes closest. A third woman pianist following Michele Rosewoman and Jerry Allen, although in fact we haven't heard Jerry Allen so far tonight, now enters the frame. Marilyn Crispell could be heard to good advantage in the Anthony Braxton Quartet. Um, and okay, now free jazz, I realize, is an acquired taste and difficult for many. And this will be our second free jazz outing this evening. I can give you some tips on how to get the most out of free jazz. Putting a lone free jazz musician, let's say Marilyn Crispell, in a studio and asking her to express herself without mediation or forethought is likely to get you 40 minutes or whatever of pensive self-absorption. I'm thinking of the Leo album, Rhythms Hung in Undrawn Sky. But place her in a live setting with a trio or quartet of kindred spirits, each in pursuit of truth in real time, and pick up the action at an advanced stage in the proceedings when inhibitions have been dropped and barriers broken, and you're almost certainly heading towards a musical epiphany. Such was the case with Marilyn Crispell, Billy Bang, guitarist Wes Brown, and drummer John Betch on a night at New York University in 1981. The title of the resulting live album, Spirit Music, says it all. So the Billy Bang Sextet, active in the late 80s, rejoiced in the unique instrumentation of violin, trumpet, bass, electric guitar, marimba, and drums. The music had an open quality and swung, and again was open to world music influences. My next choice, Sinu Mandela's, dedicated to bassist Johnny Downey, who had passed at the time of recording, mixes reggae rhythms with a distinctly African vibe. The Host Soul Note album is a live recording made on November the 23rd, 1986, called Billy Bang Sextet Live at Carlos One. Carlos One is the name of the club, so you look in vain for Billy Bang Sextet Live at Carlos 2. Another long-standing bang project was the String Trio of New York, formed in 1977, with John Lindberg on bass and James Emery on guitar. Bang naturally is on violin, but on the following track, he also plays the Yokobu flute and the gong. I offer San San Nana from the String Trio of New York's third album, Common Goal, as a musical demonstration of grace and wit, and proof that Bang was in control of his Vietnam obsession and could see the funny side of it. So this is San San Nana. So Bang was not above resorting to a bit of jokey Orientalism to make sense of his past. Some sort of reckoning with Vietnam was inevitable, but the response on the 2005 album, Vietnam Reflections, couldn't be predicted. On it, Bang essays Vietnamese folk tunes with Vietnamese musicians, and the title Reconciliation turns up twice. The title track, Reflections, is a splendid sublimation and finally sees Train emerge from Ornette's shadow. Reflections does nothing less than relocate a love supreme in Indochina, with Ted Daniel on trumpet, Curtis Lundy on bass, Ron Brown on percussion, James Spaulding on alto sax, and Henry Threadgill on flute. Reflections is clearly a statement of universal brotherhood, which is what music does best. So, in summary, we've been debating whether Billy Bang sounds more like Stuff Smith or Leroy Jenkins, or if he is channeling the skittering energy of Ornette Coleman. But another possibility exists, that Billy Bang sounds like no one but Billy Bang. Alas, we need to make that last sentence in the past tense because Billy Bang died on April 11th, 2011, aged 63, at home in Harlem from complications arising from lung cancer. Honestly, I didn't know it came as a blow. The last bit of research I did was to ask Google, what is Billy Bang doing now? And that was the answer I got. Of course, we're talking about the Young Turks of 40 years ago, so the mortality count is bound to be high. Jerry Allen, who actually we haven't played tonight, died in 2017, aged 60. Dennis Charles died in 1998, aged 64. Frank Lowe died in 2003, aged 60. Wilber Morris died in 2002, aged 64. Charles Tyler died in 1992, aged 50. It seems it's very hard to belong to the second wave of the new music and have old bones. David Murray, Michele Rosewoman, and Marilyn Crispell, thank goodness, are still with us. I thank you.